So that's the example, right? So what could be some drawbacks of game-based learning? Some of the drawbacks I've already talked about it, whereby I talk about, I mean, if you go to these so-called developed countries, this approach of learning is the way they go. It's the way to go. Normally, even in Africa, we're supposed to be using this approach, isn't it? But the problem, if you think about our primary schools, also the private, our government primary schools, one class maybe 100 and something students, okay, I mean pupils, the other class maybe standard 7 or maybe standard 4, whatever, maybe together, I mean, right? So what it means, if the game is played on a gadget like this, it means you need to have 400 of this, right? Or 500 of this. So, I mean, had it been the politics were not involved in most of all this, or accountability was involved, this is possible, even in Africa. It's doable. Because it's all about taxpayers' money. People, they pay money. Money is there. They claim to say like money is not there, which is not true. As long as people are paying taxes, money is there. But the problem is, because they have got all those problems of accountability and the misuse of resources and the like, this is going to be a challenge that it cannot be, I mean, something that it can be a problem. But if you go to countries whereby they know, because people need to be told the truth, right, about situations, right? Education is not a luxury, it's a necessity, right? And the education is a basic human rights. So if it's a basic human right, all these people who saw the so-called CSOs who claim to be, we fight for ordinary people, they never fight for education to be accessible, actual high-level education, not the poor level. So if they know that, like most of these developed countries, this is what they do. They don't compromise when it comes to education, right? You go to Europe, you find that most all countries, education is free from kindergarten to tertiary, to college. Free. And not poor education, it's high level education with well-equipped funded everything, right? And so that's the thing. But the approach, it was supposed to be that. So, okay, in a nutshell, I don't know what's the time now. Okay, just a few minutes. In a nutshell, potential drawbacks, as you already mentioned, that okay, not everyone is convinced of game-based learning just yet, because it's a new field, and the game-based learning purpose was never to replace teachers and the traditional learning, but to help positively augment it. It's more or less like when it was introduced, as if it's a complementary approach, right? But all of a sudden, some they started thinking about, okay, once we are using game-based, it means it's like replacing teachers, right? So just, I think that's where the challenge, you find that challenge when it comes to some of the so-called kindergarten places, whereby you find there are so many kids, but maybe there are only 2 teachers. They rely on some game, but forgetting the way they were designed here. They will say there should be an instructor there, and a teacher was supposed to be there. So that was the approach. But maybe it's because the way it started, like it has been taken as a replacement of teachers. So school would decide to say, okay, should we employ more teachers, or should we employ less teachers and buy more equipment for games, which was not supposed to be, which is a little bit a problem. Okay, depending on your personal teaching approaches or students' individual learning style, there can be drawbacks to the game-based learning. So the first one, which is an obvious one, is too much screen time, especially for kids, right? To the extent that even when you go out, apart from not just in Malawi, even parents, they don't even appreciate that playing games is learning, right? They will even discourage, like, no, don't just be playing games the whole day, right? Because kids, when you give them the screen, oh, playing, they want to be playing games all the times, right? You tell them, no, it's time for lunch. They say, no, 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 they want to be playing games, right? So that is the challenge, whereby too much screen time for whoever is playing, and it could be in so many ways. You could think about it in so many ways. In whoever is playing, or maybe you could think about maybe some of the games that are a little bit longer, right? Also, you could even think about it maybe if it's too much screen time, what is the potential problem that could come if you are being on the screen for too long, right? Which is like that. It could be problem, maybe eyes problem. It could be like that. I think I've seen most of the IT guys, if they stay too much on the maybe a long time, they could have a problem with that. So games are not aren't always created equally. Well, I think that's where the problem is, because when you are creating a game, if you go through the process of creating a game, you consider the audience, right? So if you think about some of the games, there could be some other kids or learners which we could say, I don't know if we could use that term. Could we say some of them are dull or are slow? Let me say slow, right? Because you have to explain something so many times for them to get it, right? Some, when you just explain them once, maybe even before you finish, they already got the concept. So if you have a game that needs a lot of critical thinking, and now these brighter students or learners get it. They are easy going to go through it. While if you go, other learners, they will have a problem with the same, which means you have to think about a game that can suit these people, right? So for you to say, okay, I'm going to these students to find a specific game that will suit all, it will be a challenge because you have to think about the kind of students you are having and the type of game that you want them to play, right? So it's a challenge. What else? Games can be a source of distraction, right? Which is maybe that could be an obvious thing, right? That apart from learning, there are people who are, and you can even think about it nowadays. How much people are, they do pay for PlayStation, the new PlayStation. How much? It's as if the way we do. Okay, there's a new iPhone, right? They are paying a lot of money. New Xbox. So if they are paying that amount of money, do you think they can pay that amount of money for a game? They will just play 5 minutes and leave it. They are paying 2 million something for a game. So can they say, "Go, think of 5 minutes that they will say, okay, they're paying a lot of money. They want to utilize that, right? So they could stop everything, doing everything. They just want to be on the game, right? Which could be a distraction because they might, find that they are failing to do some other important things. Apart from, because if it's a game, aim of the game is to learn, so you don't learn everything at one go, right? So it might be that according to the lesson, uh, at least if you are on the game for 2 hours, if you reach a certain stage, you have learned a number of things, maybe A, B, C, D. But some people who reach that stage, then they want to continue. So that could be regarded as a distraction in some sort. Um, it requires a technology. Okay, it requires a technology, a learning curve, right? That's why I said a technology learning curve. If you have never, I mean, go through any technological elements, you can have a problem. Yes. Okay. Kodi room 10 you did it. You must see what? Kuraba kuti ya dumpira kuti, which is room 10 is here. to okay. So quickly, you say just second. Quickly, it requires technological learning curve or learning curve somehow. I mean, I don't think uri muntu wokulisana sipange bazati for example for us atokuti wakandi munambira mafozi ena age then wakandi phone ina age touch screen we are used, right? Imagine a person sana gwise mu chiya touch screen chiyambire. There is a game them abase touch screen phone. Are they going to manage to go through it? They're going to be excited but if you are using this, it means you should have I mean learners that have been learning element of technology by and by, so that when you give them new materials, it's not going to be something strange. Doesn't replace traditional learning strategy, because you might think that you are going to use it it typically replace learning strategy. Is exactly like a radio, whereby you have got programs, radio programs, and some they think like as long as you have got radio programs, you don't even have to have lessons, ordinary lessons for teachers, which is not true. You still need to have teachers, because it's not exactly the way the retention of learners it differs, right? So that could be another challenge again. Not always aligned to teaching or learning goals, right? Because the learning goals and teaching goals are not the same. There are so many of them. So you could have some other lessons whereby you are going to find a game that will be aligned, but there will be some other lessons you even have to say, what the game can I use which can align with this lesson? You find kuti lesson like you look at the games amene kwadziwa palibe ina iliyonse ikugwirizana ndi how you can use it, that game to teach that, right? So that could be a challenge. I think okay, time as I said is almost up. Let me just see at the end here, what does this say? Okay, so these are just like some of the examples, right? There are some of the examples of the game-based learning, which are the very common ones. Card games, I think we have talked about it already. Card games, you have got the body games, you have got the simulation games, you have got wedding games, puzzle games, video games, um, role playing games, right? Which are also called RPGs, right? Which is obvious. The role playing games, right? More or less like going to simulation, like. Right. So I think those are the ones, the areas I want us to do. I want just to finish this. I think we have gone through the remaining part of the lesson. Any confusion somewhere that maybe we can try to clarify as you are signing here? Anything that we can try to see if it's confusing or is it straightforward? Anything? Any problem? I think there's no problem. It's straightforward, which is good. So there was some other thinking papers for series of no kind individual something. I mean, you too, because you did not write, So still, I don't even know. You know your numbers, So, see, this is yours, I think you can know. You know your handwriting. This is yours, Is it? Is 08008? Is it you? It's not you. Okay. Fine. Anyone, my budget now. How weekend? Anyone there? Okay, 012 is you. Okay, 010 is you. Okay, I think you are the one there. Right. As I close, when it comes to the exams, I think what is needed is this. Pamakama common region. There are some other common problems. I mean, have got nothing to do with the lesson, right? And another one, if you want to people to want to get more marks, avoid the common lessons. What are we problems? What am I talking about? Issues to do with grammar, right? It's common. It's nothing to do with the. This is not an English class, but punctuations, right? Don't write Jinchogudi anakupusa from primary school. Kalimba pama kala full stop. Wama is a sentence pama kala full stop. You don't put a full stop. Pama kala comma. You don't put a comma. So you think you can leave no comma, no full stop. So that is going to be a problem, right? Two, capitalization, which is simple. All nouns. Now nina iliyose ima madi capital, right? It's the name of the person. It starts with the capital. It's the name of the country. Issues like that. And now the other thing which is important. We need to learn when you are thinking, when you have got a question, you have got ideas of the question. Don't start writing before you think how you are going to construct a sentence. Put a sentence, how am I going to write it? Because when you think about you are answering and then you are writing, you end up finding my paragraph, you could even half the page, sentence was. So the basic simple thing is like according to a professional sentence, if your sentence is more than 30 words, that's a long sentence, right? A sentence here normal, if you have got 15, 16 words, that's a good one, right? If it's long, it's between 30 words. Once you count your words, it's going to be 30. Find a way of making a full stop somewhere, start a new sentence, right? Don't just write, and you make your more mistakes when you are continue writing the same sentence, right? And the other thing is you have written something. Before you go to the next, take maybe 1 minute, go through what you have written. Just go through it, because some of the mistakes are obvious. You can even see but since you didn't go back, you think like that, right? And as I'm saying, there is still the clue of writing is that learn to communicate using as few words as possible, right? My sentence, avoiding long sentences. Well, that's a problem, right? Avoiding